Fiancée cheats on me with friend that introduced us. Hey there, I am a 27M and was engaged to Shay 29F for a year, dating for 2 years and friends for a year. All in all, she has been in my life for the past 4 years or so. I met her through one of my best friends at the time, Sam 27M, whom I have known since my school days. So to start this off, how I was introduced to Shay was during our yearly planning for EDC, in which Sam had told me he had one more person he would like to bring, so we could make sure we had the right amount of tickets. I immediately thought he had finally found a girl for himself, but he waved me off saying he thought I would really like her, and he thought we would really hit it off with a little wink at the end. So he introduces me to her a few weeks before the trip. And I would say there was an initial attraction, the kind you get where you want to introduce her to your mother, but she was gorgeous, funny, similar interests. However, she didn't seem interested in me that way, or at least that was the vibe I got. Anyway, fast forward a couple months, and me and Shay start hanging out by ourselves, and she even introduces me to her friend circle. After about a year of this, Sam informs me his job promotion he was getting required him to move across the country and that he was going forward with it. I was sad he was moving, but we would keep in touch and planned on taking trips yearly like usual. Almost within 24 hours of this news, Shay had pulled me aside and said that she had developed feelings for me over the last year and couldn't handle keeping it in any longer and that she was just worried that I didn't feel the same way. I was shocked as I couldn't even sense a change in her attitude toward me, like I would imagine I would catch her looking at me more often or trying to get my attention. But nothing. I didn't really care, though. To me it was bad news and good news leveling out the world. I immediately told Sam about the news, and this is where I really didn't understand the reaction I got. He seemed shocked about it, dismissive even, asking things like, "Are you sure that's what she said?" And after about 10 minutes, he said he was happy for me, and that it's about time we got together. The next 3 years are pretty uneventful when it comes to the cheating stuff. But during this time, Shay and I grow so attached to each other that I couldn't imagine life without her. We moved in with each other, and we were the couple that our families would idolize. Her sisters would make jokes that how I looked at Shay was how their husbands and boyfriends looked at their Xboxes. Whenever Shay was away from town, either visiting family or going on work-related overnight assignments, she would FaceTime me until we fell asleep, and I would be woken up by the sound of her snoring through the phone in the morning, and she would hate it. When I teased her by calling her my alarm clock, I was truly happy. I had proposed to her during one of our family get-togethers for Thanksgiving, which she accepted. When she said yes, I don't think there is a way to feel any more joy than I did in that moment. And I rode that feeling for about another year or so. Then, in our group chat, Sam announced he was now single. The girl he had been dating since moving away had broken up with him. At the time, I felt so bad for him because he was the guy that always looked out for me, even set me up with the woman I thought I was going to marry and live out my life loving. It felt like things were unfair for him, honestly. But things hit the fan when we had our next yearly vacation. When planning our trip, we usually just get one big Airbnb for the EDC vacation and just split the cost. But this year, Sam wanted to get his own place, which I understood. He could leave at any time if he wasn't enjoying himself, and if he found someone to bring back, they could have some privacy. But things with Shay almost 180'd as soon as she saw Sam. She would hardly look at me and was always hovering around him. It felt like how she treated me before we started dating. Throughout the day, I was just a bit confused and shocked. Things just weren't right. I was telling myself that they were just good friends and she was trying to comfort him because she knew he just got out of a serious relationship. But then came the first night. I noticed both of them weren't at the house and they were missing. So I called her to see what was going on. And she sent me to voicemail, and in the 3 years of officially being together, she had never sent me to voicemail. So before I start getting in my own head and panicking, I ask around if anyone knew where Shay went, and if she might not have been able to answer her phone, but neither my friends nor hers knew anything. After about 5 minutes, I got a text from her reading, "Sorry, babe, couldn't answer the phone emergency with my mom had to leave." I wish I had just thought about this situation and not been an idiot, but I instantly went into protect and comfort mode. I said something like, "OMG, I hope it isn't serious. We can leave and fly out ASAP." She said there wasn't any need for that, as she was already on the way, and that Sam was taking her up to go see her. Now, in hindsight, there are so many red flags and obvious lies, but at the time I had the girl I loved that couldn't sleep if I wasn't present in some way, and the guy I had known basically my whole life that introduced me to her tag-teaming me on how everything is fine and this is normal behavior. After about an hour, the group chat goes off with an alert. I open it up, and there is a picture of them kissing saying, "You were right, old flames don't die." Then the spam comes in the group chat saying, "Delete this," or "wrong chat" hundreds of times by some of her friends. And everything goes silent in the house and everyone just starts looking at me. My mind was racing, trying to rationalize what I just saw. I made up the most ridiculous explanations like someone photoshopped it and hacked her account, or that it was some camera filter that just made it look like they were kissing. I had screenshot it and was examining the fingers on the hands to see if it was an AI photo. But eventually I had to accept reality about what was going on. It was probably intended for a specific friend that she had been talking about this with, and she accidentally sent it to the group chat. As soon as the photo was deleted by Shay, she called asking if I was okay and if I had seen the picture that got deleted in the group chat. I played dumb and asked, "What picture did you send something to me?" She said she didn't and was just wondering what the picture was before it got removed, and it wasn't a big deal to just forget about it. Shay then informed me she was just checking in but was tired, so she was gonna go, followed by "I love you." I couldn't bring myself to respond and just ended the call. I wasn't sure what to do, but I knew I needed to leave. So I got up and left with some people giving me a "that's messed up" or a "sorry, bro" as I walked out the door. I ended up flying back home as soon as I could. I had to talk myself out of forgiving her so many times. I wasn't sure what I needed to do, but I knew if I met her face to face and gave her a chance to explain, I would have taken her back. So I started doing things to avoid seeing her again. I went and got new locks for the house and began packing all of her stuff. I outright owned the place we were living in, and she wasn't my wife yet and had no claim to the property, so I figured move her stuff out and change the locks. I mailed her belongings to her mom's house and was in the process of texting her that we were done when one of her friends sent me information which shed a bit of light on why things happened. Apparently, Sam and Shay used to have this weird on and off dating that they referred to as a toxic cycle, and they were just happy that she finally found someone that made her happy. I cut ties with both of them. Last message I sent to Shay was letting her know that she no longer lived with me. I was sending her belongings to her mom's house. She could keep the engagement ring, and we were done. I just told her to keep the ring because I didn't want anything to do with it at that point. I didn't want to see it. I didn't want to return it. I didn't want the money from selling it. Everything about that ring was tainted now. She tried calling hundreds of times and sent so many texts, it felt like I could have made a book out of it all. She never got mad at me, though, which almost made it worse. She just kept apologizing and saying how dumb she was, and she even blamed her period, saying it was making her emotional and she couldn't think straight. But I just ignored everything. Surprisingly, there was actually radio silence from her end of things for the next couple weeks. Then one day, she just shows up knocking on my door. I don't go to the door, I just talk to her through my doorbell and ask her what she wants. She begs for me to let her in and to just talk to her about what happened. I tell her that isn't happening. She breaks down crying, talking about how sorry she is, and that Sam wasn't gonna let her stay with him, and she had nowhere else to go. She talked about how we could just forget the past couple weeks and enjoy the rest of our lives together, and that it was just a mistake. After hearing this, I couldn't contain myself anymore, and really educated her on what she did to me. I told her that I would never be able to trust her or anyone else ever again, because if she could do this to me, then anyone could. I told her that it isn't just the past couple weeks that are tainted, it's everything. All the memories of cute little quirks she had. The way she would scrunch her nose before sneezing. All the little things that I loved about her were now painful memories that would hurt. every time I thought about them, that she had hurt me in a way that I didn't think was possible. So I asked her, "So you want me to feel like that for the rest of my life?" But of course, she tried convincing me that things would be different, and that we could go back to how things were, and that over time I could love her again. I said maybe that is true that I could love her again one day, but I don't deserve to have to live day by day next to the girl who shattered my trust and shattered my heart, wondering if today will be that day, and that if she ever actually cared for me in the slightest, she would just stop trying and leave. She sat there for another 30 minutes or so, crying, but eventually left. A different member of her family would call every other day apologizing for Shay and what she did. So at least she was being honest about why things happened. And no, I didn't forget about Sam. That guy never even tried to reach out to me to apologize or anything. He just left the group chats and I never heard from him again. To this day, I still don't understand why he would invite his fling and then try and get me interested in her just to cheat with her afterwards, and I don't think I will ever know. As for me, I am doing okay, still get the urge to call Shay from time to time, but those moments are getting fewer and less intense. Edit/update. Thank you all for the well wishes and your opinions on the matter. Definitely stated some things I hadn't considered. The reason I made this post was my anniversary was coming up and I just wasn't sure if I could trust my own thoughts, if I was being selfish, romanticizing things. I'm still not sure, to be honest. But I do have an update. Spoke with Shay's mom today. She also knew it was getting around that time and wanted to make sure I was okay. I was honest with her that things were still rough for me. She didn't bring up Shay at all while we talked, so I think she was genuinely concerned about me. I actually asked first about how Shay was doing, and she tried avoiding the subject, telling me it didn't really matter and I should focus on myself. Great lady. But I couldn't let it go, so she eventually told me Shay had moved back in with them and that she started going to therapy. Her mom told me she just hasn't been the same since. It was hard to get her to eat or do anything other than sit in her room spiraling. As much as I hate to admit this, hearing about her being in such a state hurt me. I just wanted to hold her and tell her everything would be okay. I'm hopeless. I asked if she could tell Shay I would call her tonight after I got home around 7 as I wanted to talk, and I had questions for her. I really do appreciate all the advice and reinforcement from people who have been in similar situations and felt comfortable enough to share with everyone, myself included. I didn't think this was going to be an ongoing event, which is part of the reason I felt comfortable posting in the first place. I don't know if anything will happen between Shay and I going forward, but I am going to be pausing the updates on here, as a lot of the comments helped me understand. Regardless how I feel, I should probably see a therapist about everything. And this post has really been time-consuming for me, trying to answer everyone's questions or thanking them for their contributions. So I just don't believe I will be able to keep everything going. But again, I do really appreciate everyone taking the time out of their day to help a stranger out on the internet. Thanks all, and in case you don't hear from me again, then everything worked out somehow. Love you all. Update 2. So I figured I would give a last update, as it seems this would be the last one for a while. I ended up speaking with Shay. She sounded terrible but happy to hear from me. I asked how she was holding up and she said not very good and that she missed me. Anyway, I started off by laying some ground rules. I told her that I had some questions for her and that I already knew the answers to, but I just needed to hear her side of things from her, and that if I heard anything even close to a lie or a partial truth, I would hang up and that would be the end of it. Now, I didn't have any answers really, but figured the threat would help keep her honest. Main thing was the start of our relationship and why she confessed to me, which she confirmed that she did like me, but only did it because Sam was moving away, and that if he was moving on, then so was she, and that him moving away was one of the best things that ever happened to her, because she really got to know me and see how a relationship was supposed to feel. I asked about the photo and who she meant to send it to. I didn't really care, but figured I'd ask. She explained it was for a friend I hadn't met from the year she was dating Sam before she met me. Her friend was apparently one of those poly free-spirited types that really liked when Sam and Shay were together. I guess as soon as Sam became single, her friends started messaging her, planting the seeds that I was holding her back from experiencing everything she deserved in life. So I thought she was going to try placing all the blame on being manipulated by her friend or something like that. But surprisingly, Shay said that didn't matter much, as it was her choice to attempt to go through with it. The next thing I asked was about the weekend itself and what the plans were. She said there wasn't a plan, at least on her part, but she would be lying if she said she wasn't hoping something was going to happen, which she apologized profusely for. She explained their backstory and how she didn't know why, but Sam has always been someone she can't get rid of her feelings for. Even though he was toxic to her and dragged her along for so many years, she still can't get rid of her feelings. Which I understood completely considering what she did to me, and yet here I was trying to sound stoic even though every time she started crying while talking I wanted to comfort her. But she told me that they have been working on it in therapy, so I asked about that night and what happened. Long story short, from how she described it outside of the kiss, nothing happened. But things would have happened. She said that she just lied to herself, that it was okay because it was Sam, and not just some guy. That they had history, and I would understand, but she knew what she was doing wasn't right. She said that had she not sent the picture to the group chat and called to check in with me, that she probably would have slept with him. But she could hear in my voice that I was hurt, and she knew she was the cause, and that put an end to anything that would possibly have happened. She said Sam was upset that she was leaving, and that if she left, he would tell me that they always had a thing going behind my back all these years. But she left anyway, and that was the last time she saw him. She couldn't find me at the Airbnb, so figured I had gone out for a walk, so she waited for me to come back to talk, but I never did. And after not hearing from me for the next 2 days, she wasn't surprised when she got my breakup text. For the 2 weeks that I didn't hear from her, she said she was in town, just staying at a friend's house on their couch, hoping to see a call or text from me. And when she hadn't heard from me, she headed over just to see if I was there. And about the Sam comment, she said she hadn't even talked to him since that night, but she was so panicked she was saying anything to just try and talk to me. And before I had a chance to ask more, Shay told me that she didn't know where I was mentally, but that nothing would make her happier than getting back together. And it was taking everything not to beg and plead for it, but that she couldn't trust herself yet to not hurt me again, and that I didn't deserve to be treated that way, as all I did was make her happy, and she betrayed me. She said that she didn't deserve me and never would, but she still wants to spend her life with me, and she is doing everything she can to show me that. I told her I appreciated the effort and that it was getting late, and she sounded like she needed to rest and think about things, and I would talk to her later about everything. I don't know where things are going, but all I do know is talking to her, even though I heard some harsh and uncomfortable things, was the happiest I had felt in months. I have not forgiven her by any means, and I don't know if I ever will.